Welcome, John Brennan.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well, very well. I don't know if you know this, but I hail from Tampa. And we haven't had a significant amount of rain in maybe 5 months down here. People get weird about that around. They're like, dude, you're in a peninsula. How do you not get rain, right? The winter, believe it or not, is super dry down here. And it's the most bizarre thing in the world, because the last thing you'd think being surrounded by water is that you don't get rain. And we're in like this dry spell right now. It's like red flag warnings where you just, don't fill your pool, that kind of thing. Like, what is going on? Not that I have one, but, it's
but if you wanted to, I mean, they probably tell you can't even take the kind of showers you want to take.
It hasn't gotten to that point.
Okay.
We do sit on like a big aquifer. And also, I found this out. I was this many years old. We have 120 desalination plants down here.
Whoa.
I had no idea that was even a thing.
I don't even know what salination is. No, that's the salt, right? That's all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
salt. Yeah, they got to get rid of the salt or whatever.
Yeah, they pull the water out of the ocean and make it drinkable.
Yeah. I always wondered that. Like, we're on a fucking Earth that's like, oh, sorry if I'm cussing. I'm
Don't
not
worry
allowed
about
to. All right, so we're on the Earth that, 70-80% water?
Yeah.
Let's get the salt out of it and then make everybody drink the thing. What's the problem? What's the problem? Is it too expensive? I haven't read up on salination.
It is an expensive process.
Okay.
But I think if the alternative is, dehydration to death,
Right.
I think maybe
Look,
you want to
do you remember
make those things happen.
Waterworld?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kevin Costner pissed into a thing, then all of a sudden the water came out. So where's that?
Yeah.
Where's that tool?
Yeah, we need that.
We need that. We need desalination. Let's get this going.
So you've been in numerous movies with me and Tom, but I don't think we've ever discussed, we've never been on the podcast before, and I wanted to give a little background on who John Brennan's all about, and who you are, where you've come from, and just all the things.
Okay.
So you can give us like 1,000 foot?
Sure, I could do the therapy version, or I could do the Wikipedia version. Let's see. We'll do a mixture. I like to get a little emotional sometimes.
Nice.
I'm John Brennan. It's hard to describe how I got to where I got, because it was a lot of happenstance and luck, and then some obviously hard work and things like that. I ended up doing the music for a show your audience may or may not know, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. But my lead up to that event was a lot of different things. I moved out to LA because I wanted to be a screenwriter. Then I moved back to New York and I got involved in the comedy scene in New York City with like the Upright Citizens Brigade and the People's Improv Theater. Then I got a job, or well, not a job at first, but I went as a volunteer to Trauma Entertainment, who are the people who in the 80s did The Toxic Avenger, which put them on the map, and then they continued to do all sorts of, they say B-grade horror. I think a lot of it's A-grade. Like Romeo and Juliet to me is an A-grade movie, Terra Firma. Anyway, that led me to meeting two people who went on to make the show The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. So that's sort of the primer of how I got from like wanting to do movies to actually getting to have a job in music.
Yeah, and then going all the way out to LA and then coming back to the
Yeah.
East Coast and
Yeah.
settling into those things, right?
It was an odd journey because I didn't go away to college, and I lived with my parents when I went to college, and I commuted almost like it was like a high school too. And the reason I did that was obviously to save some money, but the college that I wanted to go to was within commuting distance, so what's the point of going and living in a dorm and spending all that extra money?
For sure.
Whatever, So when I went to LA, unfortunately, it became sort of my college miss out period where I was like, oh, I missed out on college, but now I'm gonna party. So like the first 4 years I was in LA, it was a lot of fun. I still was working and doing things to get my career going, and I made shorts and all that sort of stuff, wrote a bunch of screenplays, but it was party time. So, by the time I got back to New York, it was like regroup, figure things out, and that's when Upright Citizen Brigade and Trauma came into my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. Oh, and there was a small time I directed and edited and produced and wrote a public access TV show. So that was also a big step I always leave out, because that helped me learn how to do production in like a trial by fire, because I didn't know anything.
Right. Remind me where that was again.
That was in Great Neck in Long Island. So there was this show. I won't say the name of the show, but because I don't know if I'm so proud of the process. It was like a guy who was like trying to be Howard Stern kind of thing. But I went there as a music guest, and we went there 2 or 3 times. One time it was like a blizzard. Another time we went there and we performed or whatever. And the guys who were producing the show had a falling out with the guy who was like directing and stuff. And they saw my music videos or something, and they were like, hey, would you like to just come in and fill in? And that led to doing like 14 episodes of this public access show.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
Those happenstance things where it's like, we could use somebody. We know you do this thing. Let's see what we can do. Just, I can't promise you anything, but let's, and next thing you know, it turns into a multi-year thing or whatever.
Yeah, it was like 8 months or something like that. We did 1 or 2 episodes a month that we could. But it was such a cool learning experience because there was not a lot of pressure. The only pressure that I felt, they had a few pretty big guests in terms of music, like this guy CJ Snare from Firehouse. He called in. They had a few hits in the 80s, like during the end of that hair metal era.
I remember those guys.
Yeah, and they had a few good songs. Don't Treat Me Bad, Baby, Don't Treat Me Bad.
He had a really high-pitched lead singer, right?
The guy could hit the mountain. Like, that voice went...
That falsetto?
Yeah, it went all the way up. So I remember he called in, and I didn't know how to work the phones. Nobody showed me how to work the phones. So I was, like, fumbling, and I hung up on him twice, and then finally I said something like, I'm so sorry, CJ. Obviously, this is my first rodeo. Because everybody says it's not my first rodeo. Yeah. I said, this is my first rodeo, and the host was super pissed that I said that.
God.
But I was just trying to be honest, like, dude, nobody taught me how to use these phones. So.
Yeah. Oh, man. And the pressure with that, too, you have the celebrity.
He's like a celebrity, and I'm fumbling the phone. I'm hanging up on him, whatever. It's fine. It ended up being a good interview.
So present day, where have you landed now, and what are you working on today?
So, it's odd because I divide my time between all these things that I always wanted to do. There's so many multi-hyphenates nowadays, but I think that you have to be that. So I'm working on a screenplay, a movie, a short podcast, the music. I'm doing all the things that I possibly can do. But the main thing that I just worked on was the Up All Night with Rhonda Shear. That was the last big project. I got to work with Rhonda, who's, I guess you could say, horror host. She's in the same vein as Joe Bob or Elvira, working on Up All Night was the show that she had back in the day, and she resurrected it last October. And I got to do, I think, 5 or 6 episodes, and I got to do songs. I got to act. It was amazing. And we shot where you live in Tampa.
Yeah. Oh, so you were actually done. I wish I knew that. I would have joined up with you for lunch or grab dinner with you.
Yeah.
Next time, if you find your way down here again, please, by all means.
Well, yeah, we should be shooting again soon, at least over the summer at some point. I know for sure we're doing, this might be a little bit of exclusive for you, but we're doing a live event at the Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania sometime over the summer. I believe it might be June, and we're doing like a whole weekend, like a slumber party, music. It's going to be a whole freaking thing. It's going to be amazing. But we're shooting episodes of Up All Night there, so I know it's still going.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, one of the big reasons I brought you on today was because we're both music creators and composers, and we have 2 different styles. I mean, yours tend to have lyrics with all of them, right? And it's comedy centric, and I'm doing the royalty free music space with lots of beds and various styles and everything else. So it was really interesting to me to try to figure out, like, when you started, what got you into it. Talk about tools and gears, because I mean, I geek out and I nerd out about that completely, and I haven't been able to do this in a while because there's a handful of people that do what I do that I know, and it becomes exhaustive talking to those people, especially when you already know what they do, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, you're still doing this and you're very much into it, and you're also doing the lyrics and everything, so it's very, very interesting to me to see what you got for gear and what your process is. So bring me back in time to be like when you first started, like what instruments did you start with? How young were you, and how did it evolve to you making parody music?
Yeah, so when I was very young, I got a Casio keyboard.
Which one?
I don't remember the name of it. I have it in storage, and I wish I had it with me. It was a small
Mine was a CZ101,
Okay.
and
See,
it was
so
programmable.
so the thing about me is, I'll just say this straight up. I don't always know the name of it.
Yeah.
I don't even know notes. I just know feeling, and I know what works to make the thing a thing.
I'm only 1 or 2 steps above you. I took a little bit of theory for
Okay.
a while, and then this is a crazy story. Quick little segue.
Yeah.
I didn't even try out for this. Freshman year of high school, I was in a theory class. Took it for 2 days, and I had a friend come in and say, "Hey, Mr. Smeda needs you." Mr. Smeda was the leader of the marching band, but also the leader of the rock band, which had evolved from a jazz ensemble.
Okay.
Right? So it modernized in the school. People weren't really into the jazz ensemble. They decided to do like pop band, people with actual, electric instruments and everything else. And I guess nobody had tried out for keyboards the previous summer, so they were at a loss for somebody playing keys. Now, mind you, I'd only been taking lessons and understanding how to use this thing for like 2 or 3 years at this point, right? It started everything in middle school, or just before middle school. So they pull me into this room, and we're learning like "Carry On, My Wayward Son" or something, right? And there's keys in the background, there's piano, and there's the organ patch, and so they're playing the CD. The drummer's like kind of noodling around trying to figure out the beat. The bass player's trying to find the notes, and the teacher's there. He's like, "Hey Tim, how are you? I'm John Smeda." He's like, "Yeah, we're learning Carry On," and he's like sitting there, and he's doing this hunting for like the bass of the. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You got sheet music?" And he's like, No, we're learning this by ear. I go, "What?"
Yeah.
So he's teaching me how to do that on the fly, right? Fast forward 3 weeks later, I am addicted like it's crack. I'm like, the hell with sheet music, dude. I like, if I want to learn something, I'm turning a CD on, listen to the song 6-7 times in a row, and I'll figure out 85% of it. And it's good enough to play, and it's good enough to play live. I'm like, yeah, and then I'll put my own stank on it, so like, it's a little bit of me, and then I never look back. So I understand like key signatures and to some extent scales, nodes, modes, and that kind of thing. But I feel like if I go back and do too much of that, it's going to take away the extemporaneousness of what I do. Because what I do is I hear it in my head, and then I hunt for that combination of things. And I'm assuming that's kind of your
exactly.
too.
I used to walk around before I ever knew how to work an instrument and hum like riffs in my head and stuff like that. I'd be walking around like, especially during the grunge era, I'd be like, and then I would write songs in my head and I would know how they should sound, but I didn't know how to translate that into reality until so the Casio thing was like a joke. I would make songs about my brother, things like that. But there was good sounds on there, and there was good beats, and it was great. And I'll get it out of storage. I should work with it again because it's a very lo-fi sound.
A little retro. I mean, that's a big thing right now. Nostalgia's huge.
I can only imagine what the drum beats on that thing were like. That's exactly. That would be amazing to incorporate now. So then, fast forward a little bit, my parents got me for Christmas an acoustic guitar. I must have been in like 10th grade. And, well, a little bit before that, this is funny. I got an electric guitar in 6th grade, but I got bad grades, so they took it away from me.
Okay.
But for bad grades, technically, I got a C in social studies, let's be honest, all right? I got all A's and B's and everything else. I got a fucking C in social studies, and suddenly I'm a flunky. So, but
they raised the bar pretty high for you, huh?
Yeah, they would. Well, I guess they thought the guitar was making me slip and plus my whole room was filled with like pictures of Motley Crue. That was the time of the hair metal and thrash metal. So I had all kinds of stuff on my walls, and they must have thought, if we let him go too far into this realm
He's getting corrupted.
And my parents aren't like, by any means, prudes or don't understand art or anything, but I guess the correlation between me starting to play guitar and being heavy into music and my grades slipping, they were just like, nope, we got to fix this.
The irony of that
sort of helped.
The irony of that is that studies have been done since then that indicate anybody that takes up an instrument throughout their education process, it triggers areas of the brain and actually reinforces learning on
Right.
multiple disciplines.
Well,
So,
the thing was, I was still musical because I was doing it through school. So I had like chorus I would go to. I played drums very, very, very like crudely. I played drums in a band for a year. And, you know, so I still had the music stuff, but I think that the extracurricular guitar thing, it maybe was distracting me because I didn't care. Who cares about social studies? The hell even is social studies? I mean, you know, current events, sure, but social studies, get out of here. So, you know, then fast forward, at that time I had learned a few lessons. I got a few lessons and I learned bar chords. So that was the first thing that guitar teacher taught me, and I thought that was really smart because a lot of times they start you out with scales or something. I learned bar chords, so immediately I was able to play like Louie Louie or a Wild Thing, or I even learned how Eddie Van Halen played You Really Got Me, and he does it in a weird way where he like pivots the bar chord. So that I was able to do, so I sort of was like ahead of the game in a way in terms of the music that I liked. Because bar chords are so hard, they break your hand when you're first learning them. And I powered through, so I was able to play a little bit. Then, when I got the acoustic guitar, I got this book of Beatles songs that had it wasn't, what's the stuff where you write it down, shit, what the hell is it?
well, it's tab.
Tabs.
Yeah.
It didn't have tabs, it had the chords. It literally told you, like, the fingers or whatever it was. It was like, just like, this is a D, this is a B. So it had, like, maybe those are tabs. I don't know, but it showed
tablature
you.
is usually tells you like what string it is and where the position is on the fret.
It wasn't like that. It was just like it just had these like pictures like D, G, D in the front of the book.
A little square.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So it's kind of modified tab where like it's just telling you what the actual chord is and how to form it.
And I found that so helpful. So then I learned open chords. Then I was off to the races because I learned a bunch of Beatles songs. I was able to bar, and I figured out that G and G you could play in different ways all up and down the neck in terms of a chord. So then I was like, oh, that G sounds different than that G in a way because it's more heavy or the open sounds different. So I learned all that alone, and then I started writing songs. Then it was all open road because I was writing songs for my friends. I was writing Barbecue Maniac was like the first big one that I wrote. So
this
I started
in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these were like comedy songs that my friends would love. You know, Jism Alarm Clock was another big one. So then I started doing like musical stand up when I was in college, and I did like actually a lot of musical stand up where I would go to either coffee shops or I had this sort of residency at this bar that my friend was bartending at, and I would just do on a Thursday night, I would do like 6 hours of just comedy. I would just sing all my songs.
Dude, you could do that for like 6 hours. You had that
I
much
was
material?
doing well because then what I would figure out to do in order to, I mean, I would take breaks, of course, but it would go. I would do like 3 sets a night. I used to bring like karaoke, a boombox with karaoke CDs, and I would make up songs to whatever was on the CD. So there was a song called Love Me, Say That You Love Me. I would sing love cheese, say that you love cheese. So that was like, I was just doing it. I was getting free drinks. I was hanging out. It was great. So it was almost like a primer of how to perform in front of audiences, but a lot of them were my friends or people that brought people to see me, like, you got to see this guy, he's doing Jism Alarm Clock, you know. So it was cool. It was cool.
Awesome. Like a comfortable, like positive feedback environment to just F around and find out what's funny and I mean, did you ever bomb? Was it
totally?
Ever, like,
oh my God, did I bomb? This one time I went, in fact, it was so funny because I did like a whole summer where the owner of the place never came. He never met me. He didn't care. He was like, Thursday nights are booming. Just do what you're doing to the guy who was bartending. And then towards the end of the summer, he's like, I'm going to come in and see what this scene is all about. And it was like the night that nobody showed up. It was something happened. It was either like Labor Day or people were leaving back for college. And there was like 7 people there. And I was doing, you know, songs about vagina and this and that. It was the fucking worst.
Yeah, of all like the Murphy's Law, right?
I know.
Everything that could have went wrong did. And it all culminated into that one night where the guy actually shows up.
He showed up and he was just like, this is what the fuss is all about. I mean, I guess at the end he was just like, oh, that was funny. But I guess he didn't care because that whole summer he had a Thursday of booming activity because me and the bartender set up this crazy show. And we would also let people get on stage. And, you know, this one guy I remember came on. He was like sort of a nerdy guy that I didn't expect to. He was like not nerdy exactly, but like a shut-in almost, very quiet. And once he got a few drinks in him, he got up and he did the whole Rapper's Delight, but the extended version, the one that just came out on the box set. We're like, holy shit, this guy's amazing. So we would
social
be like,
lubricant. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a few tequilas. The guy's as a rapper. So we had audience participation. It was very fun. We did that for like 2 summers, and then that was it. But it was still a blast.
So that was the thing that catalyzed, I imagine, everything else, right? Like all the parody stuff that you did with all your other gigs, like with Up All Night, Last Drive-In. I know that I've looked at your website and there's a bunch of them that are like very specific to shows that you did. And then there's stuff that you did that were just fun. When did you start actually publishing things and getting into that process? Because I know many singer-songwriters, they'll make a bunch of stuff, they'll tour around about it, and then it's like, you know, there's the different paths. There's the let's get signed, or let's self-publish, or let's continue on this path and we'll hone the stuff and we'll put a compilation together. So when did it start to kind of crystallize for you that you're like, God, I should probably publish this stuff and start getting that going?
It was still a little bit further down the line because I went to LA with the idea that I wanted to do screenwriting, but I still, as a hobby, was making music, and the way that I would do it was I had this DV camera and Final Cut, whatever, 6.5, I don't remember what it was at that time, but the way I would make music was I would record into my DV camera, then digitize it into my Final Cut, and then just use the audio, and then I would stack it that way and layer it. Yeah, it was because I didn't have any other equipment, but I was like, I can make music through this because Final Cut exports WAV files.
Yeah.
Then it was like I was making records for myself and my friends, and I would hand them out. In fact, I would hand them out in L.A. while I was delivering food. And nothing ever came of it, but I would bring CDs with me. I remember one time I saw Kevin Smith get out of a car at California Pizza Kitchen, so I put a freaking CD under his windshield. Nothing came. He probably was like, what is this shit? But I tried, you know.
Yeah.
This other time, this was, I mean, I shouldn't have ever done this, but hey, I was like, everybody in L.A. tries their best to get something. There was this guy, Craig Kilborn. Remember him?
That name. Yeah, I remember him.
At the time, he had just left The Daily Show and was now on, like, the late night show, one of the late night, either 2, 4, whatever, CBS or something. And he got out of a car at Tony Roma's, which is a rib place, and his window was open. So I put a CD on the front seat of his, and I'm sure that there's some, like, parking attendant who got fucking yelled at, like, how dare you put your CD in my car? It was, I was just, you know, doing stuff, but I also did legitimate things. Like I went to the Laugh Factory and I did open mics. I did an open mic at the Comedy Cellar. So I did all sorts of stuff, a lot of open mics, but I never felt welcomed in the comedy scene because everybody's like, oh, here comes the guitar asshole. I really felt that. And actually a couple of people said that to me about how, like, oh, you should just do pure stand-up. The guitar stuff isn't, you know, really liked in the comedy world. Meanwhile, you got Adam Sandler, of course, but who's that guy, Stephen Lynch? He was huge. So I was just like, but there's been successes anyway.
Even Biff from freaking
Back
to the Future.
Exactly.
His stand-up involves acoustic guitar with a lot of his stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It felt
really
a little strange to say, like, you can't do it this way. And I was like, why? I mean, I'm getting laughs. What's the problem?
I think that's the worst. Like, that's the worst advice to give anybody creating any kind of art is to start to, like, dictate exactly what path it should be. Man, it should be whatever your highest excitement is. You know, if that's what you're grooving on and digging on, do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your audience will find you. I think that's the key, is that you just got to keep doing your thing, and eventually the people that love it, they find you.
Yeah, or you get an opportunity, which is what happened to me. That, you know, I was never pursuing a career in music. I was doing it because I loved to do it, and I was just, all these songs were coming to me, and it wasn't just parody. I was doing genre experiments. I was writing Irish drinking songs. I was writing love songs. I was writing rap songs. I did a whole rap album. I experimented with genre, 300 songs that I recorded before I ever got anything professional in the industry. Like it was all a lead up, and I felt like when I finally got the opportunity, which was I went to Trauma, and they were looking for a knockoff version of Goodbye Horses from Q Lazarus, because there was a scene in Return to Nukem High, a.k.a. Volume 2, that's the actual title, where Lloyd Kaufman, the president of Trauma Entertainment, creator of Toxic Avenger, was starring in the movie, and he did a parody of the Buffalo Bill scene where, from Silence of the Lambs, where Buffalo Bill tucks his penis behind his legs and looks like a woman. Right. Of course, Lloyd's like, I gotta do that, So they needed Goodbye Horses, but one of the guys at the Trauma team said, I know you do music. I've seen your website, because I had a band camp up at that point, and I was just like, putting out songs about cheeseburgers, whatever. And people liked it. People just thought it was funny. So he's like, do you think you could try to do a parody or a knockoff of Goodbye Horses? And I said, you know what? Yeah, let me really try this. And I went home and I got the drums right. That was the first step. And then I made a song called The Silence of the Ducks, because there's ducks in Return to Nukem High. It plays a thing in the plot. And I presented it, and it got in the movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was my first, actual professional thing in a real movie that was released. I mean, it played in Cannes. It played all over the world, this movie. And Lloyd would, on my resume, I could literally say, wrote a song that Lloyd Kaufman tucked his penis to in a feature film.
What a goof, man. Well, you know what I mean? You just don't know. You just don't know. I mean, that's probably the best advice I've ever gotten is not auditing yourself when it comes to writing things. Like, write the things that you groove on and put it out there, and stop. It's not for you to decide if something's good or not. You got to put it out in the universe, and then let the audience, let the public decide if it's something that resonates with them or not. And I think no matter what, I always enjoy writing what I write, right? Like, there are orchestrations that I haven't seen a lot of social media use or anything, but I'm like, that's fine. I know I perform this at a level that makes me feel like that's peak orchestration for me. And I've had albums like that wax and wane like that. There's a couple tracks on this one album that I really resonate with. But then what's crazy is the audience, they resonate with that other track that's much simpler, but there's something in it. Like, maybe I didn't go through and edit and pull out the rawness too much, and there was something raw in there that people, they felt something more visceral, So it's like, you kind of have to play to figure out what works and what doesn't, but you also don't get to piggyback off on that, because it's like these IPs that try to piggyback off this awesome movie. There's so many people out there that they love the first Matrix, right? And every other one that came out they think is garbage, right? And honestly, the first Matrix could have started and ended and been done, right? I feel the same way about, I'm all over the place here, but I feel the same way about the series Heroes, right? That whole series was fantastic. And well, not the whole series, but the whole first season was like a open and closed book. It was like a great story start to finish. It had character development and everything else. And then there was a writer's strike for the second, third, and fourth season. It was a long Hollywood draw out thing. And it just everything suffered. Not just that show, but a bunch of other shows. And you're just like, man, just tell a story, a good story. If it's great in one season, fine, and it's you just gotta keep making new stuff and not trying to hit pay dirt on something you did before. And that's why I explore genres that I didn't explore before. Case in point, I've got a channel on YouTube that does or tabletop role-playing games, right?
Yeah.
It's called Dork Tales. This guy, Kelly Clark, he's awesome. Dork Tales. Freaking great name. Great name. He recently, he actually did that in one of the interviews I did, which is
awesome.
Hysterical.
It's perfect.
But just released their own dice line, all this kind of stuff, right? And he does a whole bunch of different things. It's not just traditional D&D. He did one that was almost like Firefly. It was like a space cowboy type of thing.
Oh yeah,
and,
okay.
And he was like, I could really use some spaghetti western. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I've never done that. I'm like, all right, let's look at some VSTs and see if I can get the actual sounds that I need or whatever. I started doing it. I had so much fun making those, and I'm like, I ended up making a couple, like, there's enough almost for a second album now that
Wow.
I'm gonna eventually produce and release and stuff. But I was like, I'm like, what? Why am I writing in this style? Same thing happened with me with like lo-fi and dreamcore and all this different stuff. So I think you just gotta play, right?
Yeah.
You gotta play and get excited about stuff.
That's it. It's experimentation. I was lucky because I didn't have anybody breathing down my neck to deliver anything while I did my first 300 tracks. I was just doing them because I had a good time doing them, and I was having a lot of inspiration. But then when I got to the last drive-in, and it morphed into this thing where, okay, we want to do different genre parodies, or we want to do different feels and this and that, I was able to rise to the occasion on all that because I had experimented so much without pressure. So then finally, when I got into a pressure situation, sometimes I had a day or less to do a track, and I was able to deliver only because I had done it for fun. And now in this time where it was like not always for fun, it was a job and stuff, I was able to do it. And like, you know, I did all kinds of stuff for the last drive, and I did a knockoff version of like the Friday the 13th music. I did all kinds of like instrumentals, all kinds of regular songs, all kinds of just everything, parodies, this, that, the other thing. And it was just this, it mirrored what I had done in my private time. So yeah. I really recommend experimentation to everybody, and don't always say it's bad, so I can't put it out. On my Bandcamp, I have everything from the worst acoustic demo I ever did all the way to today. And I don't care, because I feel like even in the worst stuff, there's a little kernel of something that it can either be turned into something else, or it just shows the progression, at least for me, where I started to where I went. And I like that. Warts and all, I say.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I took some of the horror beds that I would do, and I said, okay, I've been getting some feedback. I'm going to do things that are shorter and don't evolve, because oftentimes when you're an editor trying to find something, you're looking at the waveform and you're seeing that like there's going to be a migration here or a transition or something, and you're just looking for something you can lay in for 30, 40 seconds, if that.
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't go go anywhere really, but it lays in the mood. And so I started doing this thing called short form nightmares, and it was literally like I did a version like album 1, 2, and it gave me a high volume of pieces, but it also gave me like the ability to just kind of groove on a feeling that didn't really go anywhere. It might have like an A and B section a little bit, but even those didn't deviate too much. Didn't get into other instrumentation, didn't really have a solo thing. It just kind of phased in and out a little bit. And I had some really positive responses to that, because it's just like, you know, like Horror Drone 1 or this, you know, like,
yeah,
just, like benign, like cookie cutter names for things that you're just, I'm like, I just want somebody to read it and be like, I think that's what I need.
Yeah,
that's what I needed. Then
yeah,
take it and use it, you know?
It's perfect. Like, yeah, there's one track that I did that's an instrumental track, but it's I called it Synth Drones from Hell. And I've used that in, honestly, like dozens of things, and it always fits because it's just this spooky, like, but it also has like little pulses in it, like, but it's really creepy sounding, and it fits for anything that needs a creepy feel. So it doesn't always have to be, you know, all intricate or ornamental or whatever. It's sometimes the simplest thing that just repeats over and over, or is just a pad that just has a feel to it, works. And sometimes you just rack your brain going, oh, I need something here, need something here. Sometimes the simplest thing will solve your problem.
Yeah, and and I think that's the internal struggle I get often. It's like, is this enough? But no, if it does the thing, you know, it might be one patch, maybe two, with a couple different things going on, and that's it. And I feel like, you know, this is too simple. I feel like I'm cheating myself or cheating the audience. And the truth is that I've been doing this shit for 40 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been noodling around and making up my own stuff for 35, 40 years. That's the culmination of that. You know what I mean? Like you that's really, I could sit down and be like, oh, people need that, this person needs this, and it doesn't need to go very far. What do you think of that? 9 times out of 10, John, I'll send something like that to somebody that I'm working back and forth on, and they're like, oh my God, you totally, that's exactly what I need.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just because you have this conversation in front with like the client or the friend or whoever you're helping. You get an idea of what they're looking for. And sometimes they don't even know fully what they're looking for, but most often they don't, because they're just like, I'm not a musician. I don't really know. It's got to feel like this. And I'm like, you got some ideas, some parallels or whatever, and give you some. Sometimes they got ideas, and even then, other times they're just, no, it needs to be creepy and moody, and I get it. My brain just starts churning out this feeling and these sounds. The next thing I know, I'm laying down some tracks, and I'll take the best idea and I'll send them this isn't the finished copy. I'll make sure, let me bounce out a good, high quality version for you before you pop it into anything. But 9 times out of 10, dude, it's like yeah, this is the thing.
That's the thing.
So,
or if you just literally mute the drums.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or just send every stem, and they'll be like, oh, I just need the bass or whatever. It's just so many solutions to their problems. And you're right. A lot of people don't know what they want. They can't describe it, so you have to provide.
You have to navigate that, right? You got to kind of listen between the lines and say, like, okay, one thing I know, it can't be too busy, so that means probably no percussion or minimal percussion. Or simulate the percussion with a rhythmic section that is synth-based.
Right, like an arpeggiator or something. Yeah. I love that. I was just doing one last night. It's just like, I found this sound called like sci-fi suspense, and I put arpeggio on it. It was like, and it's like, whoa! What is this, Fantastic Planet type shit?
So my evolution is, I'm only a little bit older than you, I think. But in high school, I had this thing called Master Tracks, and it was all MIDI based, right? It was PC based. I had a PC clone. I got one when I was like 10 years old, so I had like the monster tower, and dude, it had like a 10. It ran at like it ran at 8 megahertz processor, right? That's with the turbo button turned on.
Turbo.
So you can't play any ASCII games with the turbo button on. You gotta shut that shit off, or else the thing is way too fast, But God, I'm talking way over the heads of like millennials and Gen Alphas. They have no idea what I'm talking about. But I used that computer. It literally just had 8 tracks, 8 MIDI tracks, and anytime I used a freaking pitch bender or something, total latency. All that data was so much data to like do vibrato and modulation and all that kind of stuff. So I'd have to record all that to analog. Fast forward to like my mid-20s, I got a Pro Tools set up with a Digi-001, which is an external rack mount because the computers couldn't handle the processing yet. But then I got latency issues with Pro Tools with the computers that I had. So I got really frustrated with that, and then ultimately evolved to Logic Pro, and I've used Logic Pro ever since. And now I use Logic Pro 10, and that's like my favorite go-to and everything. But what do you currently use?
I bounce back and forth between Logic Pro 10 and GarageBand, because I got so good at GarageBand because I didn't have Logic Pro for a long time, that now there's tools in GarageBand that aren't in Logic that I'm like, man, where's the this, the that, the other thing? So I will bounce out of Logic and go in and use the tool to GarageBand, and then sometimes put it back into Logic. Or a lot of times, what I find when I'm mastering or tweaking, I really like to put it into Premiere Pro, because they have these great mastering tools in there. It's called, there's like a file folder called Special under their effects, audio effects. And in there is a mastering tool, and they've got these different categories like Bright Hype, Club Master, Dream Sequencer, all these things. And it's just a very simple thing you lay on top, and usually the one that fits the best is this thing called Subtle Clarity. It just takes the track and expands it, if you know what I'm talking about. It makes it like wider in a way, and puts just a little bit of extra reverb, and makes it makes sure that it doesn't peak and all that stuff. It's a perfect mastering tool, and I know Premiere
it a little bit.
Yeah, it demuds it. It just makes it like, it just makes it right. is the only way I could sort of describe it. And that's most tracks before vocals. I'll go in and I'll get the audio track, the music track in that subtle clarity feel, and then I'll lay vocals on top and then finish it out that way. I got these just throughout trial and error all these years. I'll put it into different programs if I need to. And I know Premiere isn't necessarily the best for audio because Adobe has its own audio thing or whatever. But those tools have served me well for many years. So I don't feel like I need to find anything different unless I'm forced to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what about back to Logic? Do you use the mastering tools in there, or do you use there's a mastering tool in there, and then there's the presets where you could go where like add low end or ballad or
knock
or
A, knock B. So in Logic, I haven't found in GarageBand it goes show master track, and then they have all the presets, right? Now, I just looked into Logic about the mastering, and it's like a different name for it. But there's only like 6 presets.
Well, I know the one you're talking about. So outside of that, there's other presets.
Okay.
In that channel strip. You ever want to get on a Zoom?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Because there was like, you're right, like ballad, classical. They used to have a hip hop one in GarageBand, and those all had for different pieces. They're right for different things. And once I got to Logic, I like the mastering assistant. It's like a new AI mastering assistant. I wasn't thrilled with it because it automatically pumps everything up to the highest level. And I don't necessarily think that that's the way to always master something. Sometimes it's right. Sometimes it's right, but it's not. Pumping it up and making it all like as loud as it possibly can go is not always the fucking go-to.
Right. Yeah, and I honestly, I've always tried to. What I use it for now is for consistency with the mastering process as far as the levels. So, like when I publish to a streaming service, I want to make sure that it peaks out at like -6 LUFS or whatever that.
Yeah.
Is, you know what I mean? So, like the loudest instrument's going to hit out at that -6, and so it gives them, because they all process it their own way too. You know what I mean?
Then you go to iTunes has one way, the other one has the other way. It's all different compressions or whatever.
Yeah, so I want to give them the best quality. It's always like a WAV file, like 48, and or whatever the standard is. I forget what the bit rate I use, 24 or 28.
I've read different things about different things.
Oh yeah, and you can let's make the file a gig each. It's like no, there's not really. The human ear can only hear so much. You know,
this song is 1 minute long and it's 3 gigs of space. It's like, come on, dude.
I only have. I mean, I literally have probably 15, 20 terabytes here, but it's like, dude, at what point is it cost prohibitive? Is it storage prohibitive? All that stuff, right? But I started using it for that reason alone, because I would go track to track and look at it and spectral analyze it in Logic and see that, like, oh, it's real quiet. There's a lot of stuff I can't hear, and I had to boost the signal, boost the sound, boost the signal, because I was balancing it all out. And mastering is its own art in and of itself too. It's really a challenge.
There's a tool in DistroKid that I've used from time to time. It's it's its own analyzation thing, and it's a cheap thing. It costs a couple of extra bucks or something for the master that they want to give you, but I don't always use it because I don't always think it makes it sound better. But from time to time, I've run it through their thing, hear the sample, I say, great, I'll pay the extra, whatever, $2, $5, $9. I forgot how much it is per song. Yeah. But it's worth it because they did the work for you, where you didn't have to go struggling through, the low end here, the high end there, the bottom, the hi-hat, the de-esser, the this, the that, the other thing. Yeah. All these tools, like, they're good for certain things, but I wish that I had a mastering guy, that I could just, do it.
It's eventually going to be, in Logic, it's eventually going to be, okay, what style of music are you playing here? And then analyze the tracks. The tracks will be labeled in such a way that it understands what the instrumentation is. Yeah. And then it'll be like, oh, you're doing lo-fi. Okay, we'll balance this out. Oh, you're doing an orchestral thing. And you have, there's oboes here, and there's this, there's that. It'll just know where it's supposed to be in the orchestra. And it'll do spatial balancing and throw it way up in the right-hand side or in the back. It's percussion. It should be in the back. And, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually it'll be this great tool that you just sit there and you write the parts, and then it'll figure out what it needs to do. right?
And there's been times where I haven't even mastered something, that the mix sounds good enough to me, and I don't really think that anything peaks or anything is too low or this, that. I just put that sort of stuff out too, and it's worked.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another thing too, is that at the end of the day, you could sit here and you know, wax philosophical until your eyes bleed on whether or not you got something right. But if it freaking sounds good, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, who gives a shit?
You can't be precious about a lot of this stuff unless you're doing something where your not even Guns N' Roses. They did Chinese Democracy, unfortunately. There are good songs on there, but I think they could have made some of the sounds better.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're putting out this major record that the mass is going to hear you, and then you have to be very precious about it because, you know, it's important. A lot of people are going to hear it. When you're doing something like me, where it's the whole spirit of The Last Drive-In or Up All Night is about this DIY ethos, we're going to make things really fast and really fun, and, you know, it's all about the improv and the this and that and the other thing, and
refinement isn't your goal.
It's
right?
not, as long as the song gets the point across, either if it's a comedy, a heartfelt song, or whatever it is, and it sounds good enough where people can hear the instruments.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, we don't have to like with royalty-free music. The idea is that it's good enough and it's better than those CDs that they charge you $200 a month for a subscription back in the 90s, right?
Oh, God,
like,
yeah.
Those things were like, oh, God. That's the whole impetus as to why Kevin MacLeod started doing what he was doing. He was like,
oh, really?
That sucks. He's like, I could do better than that. And I'm not going to charge you $200 a month for it either. Here, just use it.
Right. Yeah, Kevin MacLeod is a forerunner. You do stuff like that where you put out a lot of stuff that people could use, right? And
yeah.
I actually have just started spreading around a folder of like 80 instrumental tracks of different filmmaker friends where I say, you could use any of this for free because it's already done. Just credit me. Mm-hmm. Or if you use it on a podcast, just put my link to my stuff in the show notes.
Yeah.
A lot of people started using these tracks because they're just, I don't have to work on them. They're pre-made. So if you want to use them, I'm not going to charge you.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Royalty-free, I mean, again, royalty-free to the end user. The platforms and the various societies collect on the back end on the platforms that they actually stream on. So the end user doesn't get hit with it. It's basically like, yeah, just put the attribution in there and you're good to go, you know? So I think it's a win-win because ultimately it eliminates the paywall. Your music gets disseminated all over the world. You start getting this fan base that you didn't even know existed from places that, dude, I get emails and like PayPals randomly from people now that are just like, thanks, I discovered your music 4 years ago. I'm like, holy shit, I've only been doing this for like a little over 4 years.
Wow, cool.
Where the fuck did you come from? What rock did you climb out from underneath? And how are you using it for 4 years? I have no idea, you know? So it's like you learn this stuff. You're just like, wow, this is amazing. VSTs, like the biggest part of being in Logic or in GarageBand or whatever, everything's great. You got your live instruments, your voice, everything else. But like ultimately, we know for all these different genres we make, it's really like the VSTs, the software instruments that help make or break any of this stuff. So one of my big go-tos, Native Instruments, right?
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite, and I discovered them many, many years ago. Interesting rumor about them. About 3-4 months ago, there was talk that they were reorganizing a little bit. So they had a little issue. When they started doing the software as a service, where you had like the monthly subscription, right. And they were touting all these third-party packages, and they were getting a piece of it because they were using what is that called? Native Access to deliver the third-party stuff. I think they overextended themselves for a little bit, and I haven't heard anything about it since. I think it ran the risk of was, if you had the software as a service. I think they stopped doing that, honestly. The subscription thing, unless if you're subscription based, then
no. I have very specific things that I've held on. Like I also like the built-in stuff from GarageBand and Logic. So there's an infinite amount of stuff in there where it's like I don't always have to go buy something extra or whatever. But sometimes I do. Like there's this one. I'm actually looking for the name of it right now. It's called ME80. Okay. Now I don't know when or where I got this. But it's got all the sounds of Blade Runner, John Carpenter. Somebody went through, and maybe they're not exact, but they're close. And that has served me so well throughout the years. And I forgot the name of the actual company, but here in my GarageBand, it literally says ME80. I can't even open it right now.
Oh,
but
I'll have to check it out.
Oh, here it is. Organ Fantasy. Wait, how do I open? Wait, let me just let me see if I could pull it up so that you can know the company. But it's honestly an amazing tool. But there's all kinds of tools like that where there was this one company. Again, I forgot the exact name of the company. But it's this thing called Retro Keys.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's like the 80s production stuff where, you know, that like weird whistle that was in some of the 80s, like almost like a like an African flute or something like that.
Yeah.
That was in like the 80s production.
Oh,
that's in there,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's in there. That kind of stuff, and it's like, holy shit! I like.
Yeah, you want to go throwback to that. It's like, yeah, get that stuff. Dude, because I native instruments is one of my things. I've got a whole list over here because I wanted to hit you with a couple of these. Like Heaviosity, those are great. If you don't have Damaged Drums, you should.
Damaged Drums, all right.
Damaged Drums 2. Damaged Drums 2 is a phenomenal. They beat on cars, like metal containers and stuff. It's all hybrid drums and like real drums combined, like Takos and stuff. High reverb. Dude, it's one of the best investments I've ever made.
All right, Damaged Drums 2. That's coming in soon.
Yeah. Here's a couple, like rapid fire. Like Output was a really good source for VSTs.
Mm-hmm.
Teletone Audio, they do a lot of weird, like vapor waves, like synth wave and like airy patches, like retro, these type of stuff.
Hell yeah.
Cinesample's very expensive suite of instrumentation, but what's really cool about those is that you could have a full cello section or like a full string section, and you know it's layered throughout the entire 88 key range.
Oh.
And based on velocity and note off, it'll do different instrumentation. So you don't have to have a separate patch for pizzicato. If you just like real quick, hit it real quick and it'll do that. And if you push down, you're going to get the legato or you're going to get the full sustain.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's much more intuitive the way that you play the instrument, which I think is fantastic. There's these other ones called Void and Vista, real like whacked out like horror music type stuff. And
I love that.
Vibe Rewind. If you want a synthwave, these retro VST, I discovered that one, and that one was a lot of fun.
Cool.
And there's also one called Lunacy Cube. It's called, from Lunacy Audio. It's this engine that takes multiple tracks, and then you can create like sound paths in the center of it, where like these different waveforms come together in a certain way, and then there's a pattern. It's all visual. Like there's a visual instrumentation in the middle of it that lets you kind of just twist the whole sound around. And the add-ons, like the library add-ons, dirt cheap. Like,
really?
They run sales all the time. Like the main thing is like $99 or something, but then the add-ons can be like $19, $30, and you're like, dude, for $30 I get 100 patches. Like, yeah, that's freaking great.
It's
and
amazing.
Then you can make your own, you know?
Oh yeah. I started to dabble in that, saving my own presets and stuff like that.
Yeah. They used to be a huge thing for me. Like back in the day, like designing my own sounds, especially back when I had the CZ1 and the CZ101 Casios, because that's all. You know, I had like a cartridge on the back of it, and I had to like. You know, everything that comes in it that's standard, but like if I wanted a helicopter sound, I had to freaking create that, you know, or I had to, you know, hey, this piano's okay in here. I want something with a better attack or like a softer attack, you know, and then you had to play around with LFOs and all that stuff, and it was wild. I actually had a teacher parallel with the first 2 or 3 years that paralleled my theory teacher that actually showed me how to play a keyboard and play the instruments that way. So, you know, I'd sit there and I'd like play a chord with trumpets. He's like, no, dude. Like, this is how you have to play that instrument on a keyboard in order to emulate the sound. And like, he literally like little pitch bend with like a not clarinet, a saxophone to get that like, you know, like in little vibrato and stuff. Like, make it sound like somebody's like pushing out that note, you know?
Yep.
And, oh my God, that was the best education I think I ever got in music is articulation. You know?
Hell yeah.
How to articulate the instruments. Just really, really cool shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking here. It's called Beat Skills is the retro stuff. It's synthwave and retro keys. Those are amazing. And then it looks like here the ME80 is from a company called MMGE. I don't even know what that company is.
Beat Skills, I have a couple of those too. I have a couple of those. There's one called there's one that's literally like you load it up and it has like out of time it has the freaking DeLorean as the car. I think that's one of the VSTs that they sell too.
Oh, that's amazing. It's just an infinite amount of things that you can get into. Even free stuff that I've used forever. There's this thing called like Triple Cheese that has like the worst sounds, but they come in handy sometimes if you put a little effects on them or stuff like that. It's great.
There's this company I stumbled across too called UVI, and I had never heard of them before. And they had a deal for like $99. Get like, I don't know, it was like 29 cents. I was like, okay, whatever. What's going to be in here? For $100, I'll take a chance, right? Dude, it's like literally thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. Like old school bass lines, or bass instruments, old school synth patches, old school, like, sample based, modern sample based stuff. Like, just like I could spend the rest of my life in front of this computer auditioning those patches and never get all of them. I probably have 100,000 plus, patches,
and I've sat there when you say auditioning. I've sat there for hours just going, and then then move on to the next one. It's like, you can go for hours just listening to one note and going, that's not the sound. That's not the sound. I like that. And it's like,
when you're trying to write in a specific genre, like hunting down the, sonically what you're looking for is sometimes 3/4 of the challenge.
Yeah.
Once you get it, it just comes out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Or sometimes I'll just be like, dealer's choice. So I go all the way down and I'll be like, what's this, a Mudbone patch? And I'll put that on and I'll be like, all right, let's make something with this no matter what it sounds like. Just like work with it.
Yeah. Because, that's the other beauty of it too, is that you could always change the patch. I've had songs that I couldn't get anywhere. And that's another like fallout of writing a bunch of stuff and trying to build this huge catalog of royalty-free stuff. I'll have at any given moment like 150 project files open.
Yeah, oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some idea I drop down. I do this thing, I don't know if you get into a writing rut ever, but one of the ways that I've overcome it is by doing this thing called a Monday Friday, where I literally just say, okay, for a certain period of time on Mondays and Fridays, I'm going to do anything from like 2 to 5 ideas, no auditing, however far it goes. It
sure,
could be as simple as a melody,
uh-huh.
or it could be 90% of the song. I'll see what happens. And then I just do that for like 4 to 6 weeks, and then come back and see what genre I have the most ideas in, and then execute on those and master those. I'll go on long walks or like go to the gym or something and just have it playing in the background.
Yeah.
And then I'll use the freaking notes app on here, the voice record app, and listen to the whole track and like unhinged just be like, too muddy, needs a low end, or like needs a lead section, needs a section in the middle, don't like that, don't like the timing on this, blah blah blah. And then give it a few days, come back to the studio, execute on exactly what I said without any question, just like take the command.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in that moment I'd been walking for like a mile and a half, or I'd been exercising or something, full clarity. Like I am gonna give myself like the worst feedback, right? Or like the worst is that the best to like the improve it the most, right?
Yeah.
And it's the best process to do high volume. Like if you're ever in a mood where you're like, I want to write 30 songs in this genre, like best way to do it in my opinion. At least that's my process. That's how it works for me.
Yeah, no, long walks have solved so many creative issues for me, and also life issues. I mean, you just go on a long walk and you start meditating on things, and suddenly a flash of inspiration will come for something that you haven't thought about in 3 weeks. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to finish that story, or I know how to finish that. Yeah, so it
could be problems, it could be personal, it could be business, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, I never looked at it that way.
Yep.
And it's literally like a time. Maybe I wasn't even listening to music. I was walking for 45 minutes, like zoning out. And then suddenly it's like, okay, now I'm ready to receive the answer. If that's the universe talking to me, great. Because
give me all the Have you ever had any music or songs come to you in a dream?
Yeah. I've had some ideas that
same.
I've
had fully formed songs come to me in dreams. One of them was I was in like a backyard with a bunch of, it was almost like a junkyard. There was like old rusty cars and stuff, and there was an old radio on top of one of the rusty cars, and there was a song coming out of it by Van Morrison. And I remember the song, and when I woke up, I wrote that song, but it sounds nothing like Van Morrison.
Wow.
Yeah. Or like little titles or things from dreams. That's why I keep a dream journal. I have 2 dreams. I filled a whole book. And sometimes I go back and I find little phrases or little ideas from that, because I feel like they're pumping. Whoever's giving you the ideas, right? Somebody's pumping you full of ideas. They're also helping you in your dream time. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, if you're open to it and you're open to receiving that information, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's often times I wake up and I'm like, I don't think I dreamed last night. I'm sure I did.
You definitely did. You just
don't remember it sometimes. You know,
the morning erases. Sometimes I'll be like, I just woke up, I had the most amazing dream. I got to go write it down, and then I get distracted. And then when I go to sit to write down, I'm like, what the hell happened? I don't remember it. But I have enough. Like there's some great stuff in my dream journal, so I want to like keep being inspired by dreams, but also regular life. I mean, just having conversations and somebody puts 2 words together that you never thought go together. It's like, that's the title of a song.
Yeah, inspiration is definitely, that's one of the big things and one of the big questions I had for you too. Like, where does that come from? And it's just, I think in life and as an artist, you have to be open to new experiences, open to the people around you, open to silence. Like just doing those things, like taking those walks and being meditative on some level. It doesn't have to be like how people traditionally think of it. You don't have to take time and go to a freaking meditation group or anything like that. It's like meditation could literally be, hey, go downstairs in your living room, turn off all your electronics, and sit still for 10 minutes and say nothing to no one. It's amazing what comes to you.
It's so helpful. I mean, I saw the center of the universe once. I'm not even exaggerating. I saw the middle. I saw the center, whatever it was. I was doing like Kundalini things where I was doing like the thing where you open all the chakras and stuff. And I went to the center. It was a big ball of light that was pulsating like wow, wow, humongous, bigger than any universe, any galaxy. And surrounding it were all these smaller pieces of light that were pulsating along in the same rhythm as the large light. And I realized that I was one of those lights. And I was like, I'm here. I'm in the fucking center. And then I woke up and I was like, well, I guess I don't have to meditate that hard anymore. I can try to just like go a little bit in to go all the way.
Well, that's the beauty. I think that's the thing that everybody aspires to, is to understanding that the truth, the real truth, is that we're all a part of this one big thing. And it's these interactions. The expression of art is the ultimate expression of the universe expressing itself subjectively through us individually.
Yeah.
And like, I am so glad I found this. I'm so glad that I've come back to it after many, many years of writing stuff. My publishing journey only started like 4.5 years ago. So this has been a rapid fire thing for me. I'm like, I'm catching up now. Like I had all this stuff that I had done before, and I had all these ideas about what I wanted to do, and I knew I was going to get more going forward. But I had this pull and this call to just, let's do a lot of this stuff and let's make it available to as many people as possible, because it just brings me so much joy when somebody's like, man, I really, really dig that song. I really enjoy that. And I use it in this video. I want to share it with you. And I don't care how advanced an editor they are or how novice they are. It's a blessing, and it's a compliment to me that they even acknowledge my art, let alone use it in their art in some way. And I'm just always grateful. You know, it's that gratitude, dude, is like, it's self-serving, but it's like the initial thing is not self-serving. It's literally like, hey, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thanks for appreciating and acknowledging the stuff that I do. And then it just it's like a feedback loop, man.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. It is such an awesome feeling.
It is, and it's there's so much. Look, of course there's horrible people out there. Let's not be mistaken, but there are so many nice people, strangers, who will reach out and be like, "I love this piece" or "I love that piece." They don't have to do that. There's no reason that they have to come and tell you that they like your work, but people take the time out of their day to do that, and it's so rewarding. Like it's like it makes me feel good about being a human being, whereas sometimes I post a picture online and somebody be like, "Look at this head, look at his fat head," so it's like you can't win with those people, so you just have to like block them out and say, I'm doing it for the people who like it, who appreciate it, and won't take the time out of their day to slam somebody because they have something wrong mentally.
Yeah. Well, internet trolls will be internet
trolls. Of course, right? Like you cannot escape it.
Your full name's in there, right? It's like some of those people that do that, I have no idea. You think you're anonymous? You're standing in front of your house.
Yeah.
And your full name is there.
Totally. Or like this, like they'll come and they'll say the rudest thing, and then I'm going to go roast this motherfucker, and then I look and it's him with like his kids, like, "Hey," and I'm like, "He's a dad. I can't take him down. He's going to cry." So, it's just like things like that. Or the other day I posted this story, a true story that happened to me with Corey Feldman, and it's one of those weird things because every time I post something and it's within my circle, it's always positive. All the people I know are very nice. Maybe they'll make a quick joke or something at my expense, but I'm fine with that because I know them. When it gets to a point where it starts to go semi-viral, right, where it's like reaching the people that you don't know, immediately it's negative. Immediately. It's not like some stranger's like, "What a funny story that you have with Corey Feldman." No, it's like 0% chance this happened. And it's like, well, first of all, that's a stock answer, like 0%. I've seen everybody say that. Why don't you say something original? But why would you think that my world, like, banks on me putting out lies about my life? I mean, I know other people do it, but your first reaction is that I'm a liar? It's like, that's why I don't want to go viral, because then all it would be is somebody being like, "It sucks," or "It's this or that." I just want to stay in my lane, do what I do, get paid to do what I do. I don't need to go viral. Like that to me is the death. Unless you're making a lot of money from it, then if you get like a viral sensation, I don't know, some novelty song or whatever, and you're able to do a tour because of it or something, then it's worth it. But a lot of these people who go viral, they just get abused and then spit out, and years later,
man.
Just
slow arc up.
Yeah.
Slowly increase revenue and notoriety over the course of several years.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. I mean, I'm doing targeted advertising on a couple of different platforms, which is the only way. I mean, it's a business, so and the revenue comes from full exposure. So I have to spend the money up front to get the money on the back end. And it's something I've resolved myself to understand, that like it's not just going to happen. It has to, like, I have to do socials, I have to do videos, I have to do things that promote what I'm doing so that people actually hear it and they're like, "Oh, I like that." Like, it may take 150, 200, 1,000 people hearing that little YouTube short to the one person being like, "Oh, that's perfect for my project." And then the link's right there in the first comment. So they go to the site and it literally brings up the download. I'm like, make it as easy as possible. Right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like people think nowadays, we've both made money doing music, right? I don't have a very large following. I mean, I have a decent amount of following on, say, like Twitter, right? But my other social medias aren't that big, but I've been able to make a living. And I feel like a lot of people put more stock in follower count than they do with, like, monetization. Seriously. And I know that sometimes monetization and follower count correlate, but not always. Nowadays, the algorithm, say on Instagram or something, strangles you to where only like 20 of your followers will see something, unless you're doing ads and stuff like that. So that's one thing I would say, if any aspiring artists are listening. Follower count does not mean anything. I've been able to make a living with almost no social media presence. And awesome. I think that you have to find the streams of monetization that aren't based in, I have 100,000 followers. It's not always like that. It's really not.
Yeah, the ultimate goal I have is through affiliate or through artist collaboration. Like that's, And that's one of the reasons I've focused on the podcast, is because literally the podcast gives me an opportunity to bring other creators together with me and talk about what they do, you know, celebrate what they do, and also find paths through all that interaction as to how can we help each other out, or how maybe I can just help you. I don't care. You know, like I've got this vast library of things that I want to share with the world, and you do yoga. Let's do a collaboration. You know what I mean? Like, it's free to use. This is all you have to do in the video description. Next thing you know, you've got an advocate for your music.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
You do that 1,000 times. Now things are really kicking off, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And it's just, it's cool, you know, and building those relationships and being authentic about it. Like, it's not a bait and switch. Like, I'm going to give you this thing and then I'm going to hit you with a content ID claim. Because,
No.
You know what I mean? I'm going to take, you know, do all this stuff or whatever. Granted, my stuff's registered with content ID because people just steal it, you know, otherwise.
Of course.
Because it's royalty free. So you have to. I mean, you have to secure your catalog, but it's real easy. You just have to literally do this little text block and
Yeah.
that's
and,
it.
You know, it's interesting. There are tried and true ways to get things done, and there are also off the beaten pathways. And a lot of times you just have to try everything in order to see what sticks. And if you can get out there and do what we've done, which is you've made your path, I've made my path, there's people out there who I'm guaranteeing are sitting on a wealth of music or art or something, and they're just too either afraid to do it or they don't know how to do it. And the thing is, nobody knows how to do it. You just got to go and get it out there. Put it out. Get it. Get cold call people. Go on IMDb Pro. Get a subscription there and cold email every damn producer. I mean, that's how I got some work. I just would cold email somebody and they'd be like, "Oh, great, yeah, okay," and they responded. Like, that's how I got involved with Trauma. I just tweeted at Lloyd Kaufman. And nice. I was like, how do you get involved with the Trauma team? He goes, email my assistant. That's simple. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who have so much inside of them, and they just don't know how to do it. Honestly, we are connected to everybody now. You can get in touch with almost anybody. You can get in touch with Dan freaking Aykroyd if you want. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they may not answer you, but there's the email out there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get in touch with people. Put your art out there. See what happens, because sometimes things work.
Yeah, and who cares if you're rejected?
Yeah.
The no is an opportunity to focus your energy elsewhere.
Or you just sit there. You go, okay, they didn't answer me, and then 6 months later, hey, we're following up. It's like, holy shit! You know, they're just so backed up with all their other stuff. You never know.
You really don't. And that's another thing too. Like, this year's all about trying to reach out and do those collaborations and stuff, just like you're saying. That's on my list too, is IMDb, because I'm a pro user, and that's an area I haven't really explored and haven't really tried to capitalize on. But
seriously, if there's any producers or people who, like, say, scores, right? You think that your scores could work well with their films or something like that, just freaking cold email all these producers and stuff. I guarantee you, if you hit 50 of them, you'll get 2 or 3 responses. Easy. Easy.
Yeah, because it's royalty free. I don't have to pay for this.
Right. Or they might say, "Oh, I really like this stuff. Can we commission a score from you?" You know, and I'm not just giving you advice. I'm just saying in general, I know I used to be this person. I was somewhat afraid of showing people my work because of the rejection. But the truth is, once you start getting rejected and used to it, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's not for you.
Yeah.
Great.
Because there are people out there who will accept you. I'm an example of it. I never planned to be a musician or anything, but just because I had these things and I worked into a situation, it worked for me. And I also cold email, cold call, just contact anyone. It doesn't matter. They're not above you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all people.
Yeah.
You know.
And in fact, they may be like-minded individuals who you might be thinking putting on a pedestal just because they're on your TV or your computer screen or whatever, however you consume your media. They might be the most compatible with your interests and likes.
They just happen to have, maybe they have an extra comma in their bank account, or
sure,
maybe they're closer to the shore than you are. Like, it doesn't really, at the end of the day, they sit on a throne like everybody else. You know what I mean?
And they might get your email while sitting on that throne. And they'll be like, "Oh, this looks like an interesting prospect."
Dude, It's been great chatting with you, man. I appreciate you taking the time and talking shop with music and everything.
Yeah,
This has
thank
been
you for
real
having
great.
me. Seriously.
And like I said, I'm serious. Next time you're in Florida for a shoot or for work, please look me up. I'd be happy to meet up with you for coffee or lunch.
That
or
would
whatever.
be awesome. Hopefully we get down to Tampa again sooner than later, but definitely the Mahoning's coming. But yeah, I love Tampa. I wanted to explore more of Tampa, so you maybe show me some of the cool stuff. I went to the Dolly Museum. That was very cool.
That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Depending upon what stuff you want to, we'll talk about it. Next time you're coming down, you just tell me, and you tell me what you're open to, and we can do that. Absolutely.
Nothing too filthy. I've slowed down in my filth factor. So
yeah. It's not going down that road. That's not what I'm. That's not the suggestion. But...
All right, good.
All right. Well, thanks again, John.
Thank you so much. Anybody who wants to see me, you can Yuki and John's Patreon buffet. We put out all kinds of, and podcast buffet. We put out all kinds of stuff. We're up to like episode 165 or something crazy like that. Yeah, Yuki and I just talk about the universe, man. We talk about any subject, and that's really what I'm doing right now. And then Rhonda Shear's up all night. She's got a new Roku streaming channel, all that stuff. And if you want to get in touch with me or see any of my music or any of that stuff, at Bad Techno across all the social media platforms.
Awesome. All right, John.
All right.